Welcome to our exam review on how to answer section D. Now section D is the 10 mark section you're going to find at the end of your Unit 2 or Unit 4 exam papers. Now the good news about section D is that even if you've managed to sleep your way through the previous 2 years of your GCSE science course, you should still be able to pick up the best part of these 10 marks because you don't need science knowledge in order to get it. So what we actually need to do here is read the question. That's the most important thing about section D, is your ability to read. So what we've actually got here then is a question all about the effect of drinking alcohol on your driving ability. So first thing we've got is a data table that shows us 4 different drivers, their reaction times and their stopping distances both before and after drinking 4 units of alcohol. So our first question here is asking us which driver was affected most by drinking the 4 units of alcohol, and we've got to explain our answer. So the first thing to do is to work out the differences for each driver. So our first one here for Peter, he had a 0.24 second increase in reaction time. We had 0.25 for Mike, 0.31 for Lucy and 0.17 for Emily. Do the same for the stopping distances for each of them. So Peter's was an increase of 9, Mike's was an increase of 11, Lucy's was an increase of 14, and then Emily's was an increase of 8. So we've got the data in our table there that we can then use to answer the question. So just by looking at the information we've worked out there, we should be able to see that Lucy here had the greatest increase in her reaction time and the stopping distance. So the driver that was affected most is Lucy, and that gets us 1 mark. Your second mark is for saying she had the greatest increase in, and you can pick here, stopping distance or reaction time. If you want, you can write both. So that explanation there gets us the second mark. Next thing we need to do is explain how the actual drivers are affected differently by alcohol using data from the table. So we can just pick 2 drivers to compare for this one. 2 marks, so we're going to talk about both the reaction time and the stopping distance. If we compare Peter and Lucy, nice and simple, we can say that Peter had a 0.24 second increase in his reaction time, and Lucy had a 0.31 second increase. That gets us 1 mark. And then if we talk about the stopping distance, so Peter had a 9 metre increase in stopping distance, and Lucy a 14 metre change. That gets us the second mark. So the next question we've got is suggest the reason why drivers are affected differently by alcohol. Just look at what we've written. Peter's a boy, Lucy's a girl. So different genders is a good answer for that one. So use the information from the question to spot what's different about them. The next question we've got here then is using the data table up here to actually plot a graph on the graph paper they've given us. Now if we have a look, we've got to plot the results on the grid and draw the best line through the points. So it tells us on the x-axis we've got the time since drinking in hours. You're going to get 1 mark for plotting the scale first of all. So if we start off by working out the time, we've got to go up to 5, just literally use one of the big squares because it's nice and simple. Then we need to go up to 130 on our y-axis, so the easiest way to do that is to go up in 20s. And again, label your axes nice and clearly first of all. So we've got our axes all set out. Now all we need to do is plot our points carefully. So at 0 hours we had 130, so that's going to be up here. And when I say carefully, I mean be careful here, don't rush it, because you are only allowed half a square's tolerance in terms of your square being in the wrong place. So do go careful with this, don't rush it. At 1 hour it was 115, then at 2 it was 100, 3 is 85, 4 is 70, and 5 is 55. So once we've got our points plotted, we then need to draw our best line through it. So use a ruler, because as we can see these are going to line up absolutely perfectly, because they always will on these questions. Nice straight line and extend it right the way down. So because we then need to know, obviously, exactly how long it takes for all of the alcohol to be removed from Jeff's blood, all we can do is look down here and we can see that it's going to be 8 hours, well, it's going to be 8.6 hours based on that graph this time. So 8.6 hours gives us our answer there. The last question then is looking at another data table here with number of deaths and the legal percentage for alcohol. So what we need to do is use the data to decide if there's a link between the legal limit for alcohol and the death rate due to the road accidents, and comment on the conclusion. So first thing we need to do is spot any patterns. Okay, so the USA and the UK both have 0.08 and yet different death rates. If we compare any of those to Hungary, which has got a 0.0% limit, then 129.6 deaths due to road accidents per million of the population. So what we can say is, first of all, the conclusion, there is no pattern or no link. That will get us 1 mark. And then to actually back it up, just quote some data. So we can literally say that Hungary has a 0% alcohol limit. But, and if you have a look, it's the second highest deaths. So the second highest deaths. And that gets you your second mark. So as you can see, you didn't need to know anything about science to be able to answer any of those Section D questions. So that should be 10 easy marks for you on the exam paper.